Welcome back, and today we are going to be flying out one of my most dreaded vehicles I needed to fly out still, the Yak-38. At 9.3 this thing has no business having 4 R60s, but at the same time this flight model is a bit of a joke. But let's start with the biggest joke of the entire video, and I wanted to put this at the end because it's the end of the game that I will show last, but at the same time I think it's too meany to not show you. And see, I get crit, I get very heavily damaged, and this time I won't cut it off for you, so I'll show you what happens behind the scenes normally. I go into hover mode, I flip my plane around, because who needs a rudder, barely missed a shot. Luckily, we have 3 R60s left, so we kind of just pitch it up and send them back to the hangar. And for everyone that says I hide my deaths with these sudden cuts everywhere, that's not what happens. This is what happens behind the scenes. Trust me, I never died before. I just don't want to embarrass the enemy too much. Such a humble person that I am. Here comes the next victim. It's the F5C that has been chasing me towards the edge of the map. And because this thing absolutely retains 0 energy whatsoever, we instantly cut inside of his loop. We squeeze the trigger, we crit him, and he instantly goes into a flat spin. That's another victim. Let's look at the next one. It's the J-35D. One issue with flying this thing is almost everyone focuses you because you are essentially a free kill, and I can't really fault them for it because this thing essentially is. Luckily I have a lot of paid actors today and we are gonna be dogfighting this guy. Right now we are losing a lot more speed, so even though he turns a little bit tighter, he is still going to end up having quite some trouble getting shots on us. So we are gonna try loop up over his nose. I go into hover mode here so that the second I go slow enough, the vent opens up and we can start ejecting all over his face. Right now he is slowly but surely slotting in front of us, but he's also trying to slow down. So I'm gonna drop my flaps here to kind of boost my turn a little bit and also slow down a little bit more. And slowly but surely he's going to end up in front of my nose. Get the hit, just a hit however, and we are kind of boned. And I need to go downwards here. I am trying to slow down so that my vent can open up. Paid actor number 2 comes in, makes it very close, doesn't actually hit me just like I paid him to do. And there comes the vent. And because the J-35 still decides to keep turning with us, I might be able to rotate my nose around and just get a shot on him. So we turn in, we give a good old tuck to the stick, and there it is. Back to the hangar. And then we make sure to dive out and get our speed. And here we are, another victim. It's the F3H. Well, he's about to be spotted. The nighttime spotting is still absolutely atrocious, as we are all familiar with. And I just try to go into hover mode instantly. It's more of a meme at this point. I'm not really trying to play this thing seriously because there's just no way you're gonna get good footage if I do that. So really I've just been trying to kill myself in the fanciest way possible. Because about 70% of the time I try this, it would instantly end up in a massive failure. Luckily this is YouTube, so I mean I'm just gonna show you the good bits. So right now I'm trying to pull back in, I'm tugging my stick as hard as I can. I'm really just trying to etch every little bit of performance out of this turn as I can. Trying to extract every drop out of it by squeezing as hard as I can, and it's just not enough. And then the entire edge party gets ruined by one of my teammates. Luckily he comes Smegma Blast to relieve our pressure, and there he goes back to the hangar. That makes me feel a lot better now. Yeah, I need to be serious with you guys. I think you've noticed by now that I'm just taking the absolute piss out of this video, and that's for a good reason. First missile coming in, pretty easy to dodge. What do? We focus people that don't have countermeasures. The issue is, we also don't have countermeasures, and in this matchmaking there are people that have even better missiles than us. Things like the A-10 that's directly over there. He's 3 kilometers away, so I need to turn out instantly. Yeah. So before the missile impacts we are going to safely eject, and there we go. Didn't die yet again. That's a premium A10. I know he paid a lot of money and he needs to grind, so I decided to give him some uppy instead of embarrassing him in front of my entire audience. But let's be real for a second. How do you fly this thing? Well, there is no real way to fly it. It's in a spot that's both extremely overpowered against like 8.3s and stuff, but you are also completely useless versus anything with a missile, and that includes AIM-9Bs, AIM-9Es, because it's very hard for us to actually dodge anything. This thing can dodge a singular AIM-9B. After that it will lose so much speed that it's basically unable to dodge the second one. It's extremely frustrating, but at the same time the enemy is gonna have almost the same luck when it comes to your missiles when they don't have flares, because the R60s pull a hell of a lot harder. When you are facing subsonics, stuff like the F9Fs, the Sabres, the MiG-15s, the MiG-17s, all the old meta jets that don't have countermeasures and aren't particularly quick, they don't have the acceleration to keep up with you. They don't have the top speed to keep up with you. Sure, if you get into a dogfight or if they dive on you and they get close enough, you are forced to dodge, and the second you have to dodge, you are gonna be caught, because this thing just has absolutely no retention, and once you are being caught, you're done. The unfortunate truth is, at least when you are flying this thing, it's the fortunate truth when you are flying anything else, MiG-19s are the same BR as you. F-104s are the same BR as you, and J-35s are, well, not really the same BR, but you'll see them every game, and they know you are a free kill. They know you are almost unable to do anything to them, and everyone will go out of the way to try and touch you behind the shed like your uncle did. It's extremely annoying, but it makes perfect sense. No one likes the Yak-38. Everyone hates it, and it doesn't matter if you are the one flying it, if you're one fighting against it. Unless you are in a 10.3 or 10.0 or 9.7 even, you will absolutely love this thing, because it's an absolute RP pinata. It's one of the freest kills you will ever come across, and that's simply just, it can't defensive fly, it can't hold its speed, it can't turn into you, it can't really do anything other than go into VTOL mode and try to meme you with a missile or two. So to summarize it, you have a plane that you can fly, but you also can't fight if you are in a subsonic. Now, of course, if it's 1v1 in the subsonic can just basically always make it so that his ass is not pointing towards you, and then you can basically dodge these missiles all day long. They're not all aspect, they're not R60Ms, God forbid it ever gets any, but it doesn't. But you are playing a horror game, you are the boogeyman, but as we know, John Wick comes to kill the boogeyman. Luckily, John Wick doesn't have flares half the time, and he's still pretty susceptible to a missile being shoved up his ass. Other than that, it's just a matter of picking your targets. You need the third party people, you need to come in from angles where they either have little energy, and if you get the shot off close enough, from like 1.3 to 1 kilometer behind people and they haven't started turning yet, you launch that missile, they're dead. Absolutely done. And they can snap roll it at the perfect time, but they need to be going fast enough. And most of these Sabres, the G91s, and all those planes aren't really going quick enough to turn hard enough anyway to get out of the seeker. And by the time they have broken the heat signature from behind, the missile is close enough that it basically becomes all aspect. We all know that AIM-9Bs, R60s and all those other quote-unquote non-all aspect planes will be able to acquire lock from the head-on at like 800-ish meters, maybe a kilometer. So if you are turning into it and the missile is within like 500 meters by the time you are turning in, it's still going to track. It's still going to hit you. So you are kind of just boned the second this thing gets too close behind you. Luckily, or at least luckily for the matchmaker, the teams are so bad that most of the time in this thing you are going to be outnumbered. And if you are outnumbered in this thing, it's almost impossible to kill everyone, because you just need to take such long passes and you don't have the ability to kill people really quickly unless you have really good aim and you are able to just kill everyone with the GSH-23. The issue is, even with the best aim in the world, if the enemy knows how to defensive fly, it's still a water pistol, and due to real shatter it doesn't even have sulfuric acid anymore. It's absolutely, it doesn't do any damage anymore. And this is what I mean. I shoot it at close range in a little bit of a side aspect. Now, keep with me, yes, it only gave me a hit, but that's the issue of the missile, not so much the seeker. If it gets close enough, it basically turns into an all aspect anyway. So it's an extremely ratty plane. It's an extremely, you can't really dangle your face in front of anyone. You need to be always coming from behind. The second you use the front door, you're gonna be cancelled. It doesn't really matter what it is. If people start focusing you, even if they can't catch you, even if they are unable to actually contest me, I still can't do anything to them. It takes me so long to turn around that my speed advantage essentially becomes useless. And in the team fight, that's fine. It's completely okay in the team fight, because you can just zip in, leave, and if 2 or 3 guys chase me around and they don't have missiles, that's fine. I take the pressure off the team. The issue is, most of the times, your team is the one that needs to be carried. And when you are flying a vehicle like this, you can't play it in its intended role. It's kind of a meme plane, you can reverse people in a funny manner. But the issue is that they also need to throw it quite badly. The only thing that they need to do is simply do a flat turn, basically go into a raid fight. And if they do that, I I'm out of options. It doesn't matter how well I helicopter or how well I VTOL. If they don't get close enough and they just kind of keep their speed, it's almost impossible for me to actually shoot them down. And if there's multiple people around, an AIM-9B when I'm going slow will kill me from like 3 kilometers, and it doesn't even matter if it's directly from behind. I just don't have the pull to actually get out of the way. The Lightning goes full commit head on with the F-82. God bless his soul. And now we are directly on the guy that we hit earlier with the R60. This time we have 4 left and he is flying perfectly straight. As we all know, Twitter really dislikes that, so we are gonna find his IP address and mail him a pipe bomb. If you want to see the end of this game, you can watch the first clip of the video again. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.